Okay, so last episode, I talked about what if Triple H had never torn his quad in 2001. This week, I want to talk about what if Triple H didn't tear his quad in 2007. Guy can't seem to catch a break. And welcome back. It is episode 31 of What Could Have Been in Wrestling. And yes, we're sticking with Triple H as the topic. Jumping ahead, basically 6 years after he originally tore his quad in a tag title match on Raw that I talked about last week, I want to talk about the second time he tore his quad, again in a tag title match, coincidentally. This time partnering with Shawn Michaels as one half of Generation X. And I want to talk about when he got injured and tore his quad against Team Rated RKO at New Year's Revolution, and how everything could have changed from the beginning of 2007, going up through the Royal Rumble, all the way up till Wrestlemania 23. So let's get into that. So in the tag title match at New Year's Revolution, when DX took on Team Rated RKO, Triple H did his trademark AA spine buster, and immediately after that he favored his leg, and it was interesting because they had worked on that leg throughout the match, but now it was a legitimate injury. The referee even looks over at Triple H and asks him if he's okay. And much like in 2001, to Triple H's credit, he finished the match. The next day, it was confirmed that he did tear his ACL. And once again, he was working with Dr. James Andrews, who fixed him up the first time. And Triple H had said it felt like literally his kneecap had slid off the bone, and I can't even imagine how painful that must have been. So looking at it, if that doesn't happen, I want to first talk about how the Royal Rumble would have changed. Everyone remembers the final two in the Royal Rumble were Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker, as Shawn Michaels, as the lone representative of DX, was catapulted now to more of a main event scene. Team Rated RKO was also in there at the end of the Royal Rumble, with The Undertaker originally winning it. From there, I actually don't think that much would have changed there. Even though Triple H would have been in the Rumble, I don't see him winning the Rumble still. I still see The Undertaker coming in at number 30 and being the last man standing. Also, I still see John Cena winning that last man standing match at the end of the night against Umaga and retaining the WWE Championship. So I do think that stays consistent. However, I think the feud with Rated RKO and DX would wrap up on that Raw the next night after the Rumble. And I think that actually DX, the very next night after the Rumble, would win the tag team titles. Because I remember after Triple H got injured, Vince McMahon didn't think Rated RKO could stay a hot item for much longer without DX to feud with. So he made a call to break them up not too long after the Royal Rumble. And there were definitely hints of dissension already leading up to that, to their time together in the going into the Rumble itself. So with a big climax of another tag match between Rated RKO and DX now concluded, DX is now the tag team champions. Similar to how John Cena and Shawn Michaels became tag team champions when they were WrestleMania opponents. Now, with The Undertaker on Smackdown and eventually choosing to challenge Dave Batista, we still don't have an opponent for John Cena at WrestleMania. So what could happen there is Vince could make a ruling that the number one contender is going to be determined in a four-way match. And the combatants, as you could probably guess, would be Edge, Randy Orton, Shawn Michaels, and Triple H. Going into the match, you can have the Rated RKO attack Shawn Michaels before the match even starts, and they can RKO him onto a chair. And then they can also hit him with the concerto. And they can take him out of the match, so he's not even a participant. And this becomes a normal three-way match. Triple H would be fighting from underneath for the majority of the match, where Edge and Orton would work together. However, I think Triple H could eventually find a way to get them to turn on each other near the end of the match, because both Edge and Orton want to win, and then their egos get in the way. So then, you can have Triple H seize the opportunity, take one of them out with the sledgehammer, and then he can nail a pedigree on either Orton or Edge, doesn't matter which one, and that's how he's able to win what becomes now a standard triple threat match and become the number one contender for the WWE title going into WrestleMania 23. As we lead up to that, they can put over that this is now going to be a rematch of the main event of WrestleMania 22. And Triple H is now looking to avenge the loss that happened the year previous. But this time as a fan favorite. So, much like how it was with Shawn Michaels and Cena in the main event, it is still babyface versus babyface. Cena and Triple H can then have their segment in the ring, where Triple H can even admit he misjudged Cena last year, and he underestimated him. But as the cerebral assassin, the game, he will not make the same mistake twice. And you can still have them working together in a tentative alliance, even though Triple H is still a tag champion and still part of DX. You can now have John Cena thrown into the equation, because I remember going into No Way Out in February of 2007. The main event was the partners, or the opponents become partners, and it's Smackdown versus Raw, where Batista and The Undertaker teamed up against Shawn Michaels and John Cena. I think you can actually do it a little different this time. And I think actually what you can do for the main events facing each other off in a match at No Way Out could be a little different. And I would actually like to see Vince make a ruling where it is champions teaming together against the challengers. So this way, it would be the challenger Triple H teaming up with the challenger The Undertaker to take on the two champions of Dave Batista and John Cena. So throughout the match, it could be a back and forth affair where neither team really gains a sustained advantage for a long period of time, because it's still four baby faces going against each other, and it would be interesting to see who would actually take on the heel role of getting the heat in that match. My guess, it would be Triple H and The Undertaker, to be honest, if there was a team that did it. And it would be Cena fighting from underneath, trying to get the hot tag to Batista. As the match goes on, you can have Triple H and Batista having a moment in the ring against each other, calling back to their feud from 2 years previous. And also, you can have the champion John Cena having a segment in the match against The Undertaker, where the fans could maybe get a preview, because again, The Undertaker's still undefeated at WrestleMania at this time, what it might look like if The Undertaker had challenged John Cena and put his streak on the line for the WWE title. The match can end with Triple H getting the winning fall for his team and pinning Batista with a pedigree. This can give Triple H some much needed momentum and can also help him get a small measure of revenge against Batista for beating him 2 years ago for the world title, so he can slay that demon, so to speak. Post No Way Out, you can still have Cena and Triple H you can have them in tag matches against each other, or reluctantly having to team up on Raw, as Vince obviously wants to try to pit them against each other, and you can even have them team up against Rated RKO in what could maybe even be 6-man matches, with Shawn Michaels still there as a member of DX. So you have a champions team, the tag champions of DX, working with Cena, but Cena and Triple H are reluctantly working together at this point. And finally, leading into Mania on the final go-home show and the final Raw leading into that, I think you would have Triple H hitting Cena with a pedigree to send one final message that it's not going to be like last year, and that this year Triple H is going to avenge the loss he took last year. He already got a small measure of revenge versus Batista, and now he is going to slay the beast that is John Cena. Going into WrestleMania 23, you can still have John Cena do his entrance with that sports car as he drives that sports car in to the arena, and have Triple H get his special entrance similar to the Conan the Barbarian entrance he did for WrestleMania 22. And I think these two still would have had a very solid match because, as proven in my match recap that I also did of this match, these two worked pretty well together in the ring. I do think if I was to compare the two main events, Shawn Michaels versus John Cena at WrestleMania 23 was better as a match overall, and I think the contrast in wrestling styles worked better than John Cena versus Triple H. However, again, like I said earlier, Triple H's torn ACL did change quite a few things, and Shawn Michaels was thrust into the main event role unexpectedly, and it was confirmed by Triple H in the Shawn Michaels DVD, I think it was Tragedy to Triumph, that it was supposed to be Triple H in that main event spot, and it was going to be a rematch from the previous year's WrestleMania. So now we're just following through with what the original plan would have been. And going into it, I still think Triple H could have still shown some heel tendencies, and he still could have teased the use of the sledgehammer. I don't think he nails Cena with it this year. I actually think it could be Cena using a foreign object, such as the stairs or the bell, on Triple H, trying to win in an illegal fashion, but this time Triple H is the one that kicks out. Triple H then nails another pedigree, similar to like he did on Raw, but Cena's now able to kick out of this. And finally, I think Triple H is able to fight off getting hit with after getting hit with the STFU. He would not tap out this year. I still think John Cena would eventually catch Triple H with the FU. And then he would pin Triple H and beat him at Mania for a second year in a row. The reason I think this is because John Cena did win at WrestleMania 23 in reality versus Shawn Michaels, and he really was the main focus of Raw, and he was the top star on Raw, even when Triple H was healthy. You can see that Vince wanted to put everything they had behind Cena, and these guys were helping make Cena a star. From Triple H the year before, from JBL the year before that, and then of course Shawn Michaels in 2007. All these wins helped enhance his career as a top guy in the company, and a true main eventer winning 3 years in a row at WrestleMania. And even though that would mean, that would actually mean 4 straight losses in the main event for Triple H at WrestleMania, going back to WrestleMania 20. I still think we still go ahead with John Cena this year winning it by pinfall and retaining the WWE Championship. And I don't know what could have been bigger for his career at that point. Beating Triple H again in the main event slot at Mania, this time by pinfall rather than another tap out. And this time in a show of respect, I think it could be John Cena saluting Triple H because he was doing that stupid Marine gimmick back then. And in a true show of respect for the match. And also I think in what would have been legitimate appreciation for Triple H putting him over 2 years in a row. From there, Triple H, again, remember, is still one half of the tag champions, so it's not like he's going home with nothing. I do think that he does work with Shawn Michaels some more, but I do think that they do conclude their time together as DX, because going post WrestleMania, I know it was about a couple months after that, they did do the draft lottery. And in 2008, Triple H was drafted over to Smackdown and was the WWE champion when he was feuding with guys like the Great Khali and Edge. I think that switch actually happens a year earlier, and I think Triple H is actually drafted over to Smackdown post WrestleMania, and I think he becomes the top guy there and starts feuding with Edge. And then the Great Khali because of Edge's injury for the World Heavyweight title. So I think that's a good way to conclude the DX angle that had started back the previous year and had been hinted at since, teased at since WrestleMania 22. And of course, I think Triple H and Shawn Michaels could probably drop their tag belts to either the Hardy Boys or I believe it could have been Cade and Murdoch at that point. So that's where I'm gonna wrap it up here. I know it only covers a short period of time, and if you'd want me to go into what I think Triple H's run on SmackDown in 2007 could have been as a babyface, let me know, and I'm happy to go into that. I already talked about a couple of the guys I'd want him to feud with. And let me know what you think of him still losing to John Cena at WrestleMania 23, this time by pinfall. And of course, the idea of DX winning the tag titles from Team Rated RKO on the Raw after the Royal Rumble. So leave your comments down below. Let me know what other topics you'd like to hear me talk about in the future in terms of what could have been. Let me know what you think and what your memories were of Triple H's quad tear the second time around in 2007. Like I said, I actually felt bad because the guy just couldn't seem to avoid this kind of bad luck, especially in tag title matches. And let me know if you would have actually preferred this kind of setup and this main event over what we got between Shawn Michaels and John Cena, as that would have changed a lot of things for Shawn Michaels, and we probably wouldn't have gotten post WrestleMania that classic hour-long main event on Raw between Shawn Michaels and Cena in that non-title match, in a match that Shawn Michaels did win. So again, please leave your comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'll be back soon with another episode of What Could Have Been in Wrestling and more of the match analysis series. Thanks a lot, everybody.